Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal, and you are watching the Mojo Story. A day after deported Indian illegal persons landed in India, a video was shared from the US on the Twitter that showed Indians handcuffed and shackled. Now, that video has sparked criticism from the opposition, who have raised concerns about human rights and India's diplomatic response. Now, Parliament is in session, and the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S Jaishankar, defended the US action as a routine but assured engagements to prevent mistreatment. Now, the opposition leaders are questioning that why India, as a major economy, did not arrange a dignified return for its citizens, drawing comparisons to Colombia's stronger stance. To discuss this issue, we're joined by an eminent panel. We're joined by Ambassador Manjeev Puri, the former diplomat. Welcome to Mojo Story, sir. We're also joined by Major General Dhruv Katuch, the Director, India Foundation, and a defense expert. Welcome to Mojo Story, Major General Dhruv Katuch. If I may start with you, Ambassador Manjeev Puri, the minister was trying to say that this is not the first time such a thing has happened. It's happened in the past also, these deportations. But what we see, perhaps for the first time, people have been sent on a military aircraft that landed in Amritsar. It has a different symbolism and messaging altogether. You can see on that screen, that is the aircraft that brought all those Indians back to India. Ambassador?
Yes. Go ahead,
Yes.
Zafar. Yeah.
I'm asking you that the minister was emphasizing that it's not the first time that deportations have taken place, but what one gets a sense that this was different because they were brought on a military aircraft, all of them together, and then a video was released. We showed them shackled, and it called them an Indian aliens who were sent back to their country. This seems to have a different messaging altogether. The foreign minister was trying to play it down, but one can't miss the optics of it.
Zafar, thank you very much. So, I have read the statement of the Minister of External Affairs. He has listed the facts, and the
Yeah,
facts are that Indians have been returned from the United States over the last many years, and about
yeah,
1,000 odd were returned last year.
right.
But you are also absolutely right in what you are saying. There is issue of optics. And let's also remember, it's not just our optics, it's the optics of the last few days. You
Yeah,
mentioned this Colombia, Mexico, and Guatemala, and all those things. They
right.
raise a certain kind of feeling among people here. The
Yeah,
use of military aircraft. Now, I know there are lots of people who say, why should we pay to bring them back, and so on. I understand all of those things. But there is a symbolism, there is an issue which you said, there is a feeling that this is not good. And the fact that the US SOP talks in terms of the deportees being restrained, etc., it's all understood. We are all adults in the game, and we know what is happening. But you are very right; it's symbolism, and and the fact that the minister himself has said, and very rightly, he has said that we are engaging them to ensure that these returns are in a dignified manner. And this particular thing is important for us to do. I wish this could have been done a little earlier and with a greater degree of a sense of urgency, because the fact that this was imminent was quite clearly visible to everyone in the last few days. But yes, this is not the first time. Absolutely no, not. These things have happened. But you're right. It's the manner and the way things have happened. But I am sure, as we are taking up contacts with the United States and taking this forward, that this matter will be sorted out. These operating procedures will be such that the fact of taking back your nationals who have entered another country illegal, that's not an issue. We've done it with the United States, we do it with the Europeans, we do it with others. It's perfectly fine, legitimate. These things happen. But this issue of dignity, this also is a little important, especially for a country like us, a democracy which believes in the dignity of individuals. And I'm sure the government will take this up with the United States appropriately and in a manner to persuade them that, let's find ways and means of doing this in a manner which maintains the dignity of the human beings involved.
right. If I may request my producer to have this small window as a full screen, you can see this is the video that was tweeted by the US a day after. You can see this is an edited video. These people are moving slowly. They are handcuffed and they are put on that aircraft, and that is a military aircraft that is sent to India. And then it could have been done and they could not have spoken about it, but they clearly mentioned about it. A tweet was put out with this edited video. You can read from that: USBP and partners successfully returned illegal aliens to India, marking the farthest deportation flight yet using military transport. The mission underscores our commitment to enforcing immigration laws and ensuring swift removals. Military aircraft, specific mention, illegal aliens being sent back to their country. Major General Dhruv Katoch, it is not normal. It has a potential to have a wider impact on the relationship, no matter what the minister says in the parliament.
Zafar. No, Zafar, you're right. I think, as the ambassador said, the optics are certainly disturbing. Let us put it that way. But let's face it, the Americans will do the same thing to an American citizen who is tried on similar charges. Any American criminal, for whatever reasons, when he is being transported, he is chained and shackled. He is restrained because they have that experience. They have that experience of people getting violent on such occasions, and then it becomes a problem to handle. So they eliminate all such problems right at the inception stage. That if you are being restrained, then there is a particular SOP which is followed by the Americans for restraining, which means you chain their legs and you shackle them, and that is what they followed. Now, I would understand if they had done it only for the Indians and not for the others. They have done it for every single country, but most importantly, they also do the same for United States citizens. Let's understand that very clearly. The same procedures will apply whether the person is a citizen of the US or not. So to that extent, I think it is okay. But I see no reason why they should have actually put out a tweet, on this
video.
particular. The tweet video, that is not required. But at the same time, they have sent out similar tweets for every single country, including Colombia. Colombia, of course, people say they took a stand and all that. But by the time the sanctions were imposed, they buckled down and they said, you may send back our detainees by military aircraft, period. Now, the mode of transportation, I don't think really matters. They'll be having their own challenges one way or the other. But there is a larger point to this, in this messaging. I think India must learn the right lessons. The right lessons are not to get het up about what has happened and start saying, oh my God, Indians have been humiliated, etc., etc. For God's sake, they shouldn't have gone there in the first place. The right lesson is we will also not accept illegals in India. And we have 20 million Bangladeshis and perhaps 100,000 or so Rohingyas who are illegally settled in India as of now. I think we need to use our entire civil machinery, the military machinery, and our diplomacy to ensure that each of them are sent back to their country. Now, that is what we need to do. And that is the lesson, I think, which comes out from here, not the question of their shackles.
Right. Yeah, that's an important point. The same yardstick should apply for all others as well, including India. The way the US has demonstrated, not just for India, but for other countries also. That is what Major General Dhruv Katoch is saying. We'll play Minister Jaishankar's soundbite in the parliament today. He spoke in the Rajya Sabha as well as in the Lok Sabha, clarifying India's stand, while opposition members were standing up and they were sloganeering and they were saying that Indian response was not enough. We'll go to Ambassador Manjeev Puri after that, but first let's hear what the minister said in the parliament.
The standard operating procedure for deportation by aircraft used by ICE, that is effective from 2012. I repeat, that is effective from 2012, provides for the use of restraints. However, we have been informed by ICE that women and children are not restrained. Further, the needs of deportees, including during transit, related to food and other necessities, including possible medical emergencies, are attended to. During toilet breaks, deportees are temporarily unrestrained if needed in that regard. This is applicable to chartered civilian aircraft as well as military aircraft. There has been no change, I repeat, no change from past procedure for the flight undertaken by the US on 5 February 2025. Honorable Chairman, sir, we are, of course, engaging the US government to ensure that the returning deportees are not mistreated in any manner during the flight. At the same time, the House will appreciate that our focus should be on strong crackdown on the illegal migration industry.
Right. Ambassador Manjeev Puri, how do you see India's response? Do you think India could have negotiated a more dignified repatriation process, maybe a response similar to that of Colombia?
Zafar, I heard my friend General Dhruv Kachot, and I don't want to get into what India should do with problems that we face in India. That's a totally different subject altogether. Let me be very clear. The idea of President Trump wanting to do stuff like this is not something that came out of the blue. Everybody knew it. In any case, we had 5, 7, 10 days advance notice of that. I have little doubt that we should have engaged. We should have engaged right from the beginning and made it known to everybody, at least in India, that we were engaging on the subject. We said right at the beginning that we are not at all averse. We will take back our nationals after we've done our due verifications, and apparently that was done. We had said so very clearly. The question of cost, this, that, it is true that, there are issues on all that, but the use of military aircraft, the optics, the putting out tweets, we are a country with which the United States is interested in building relations, and we are building huge, strong relations with them. Just one little point, Zafar, just a bit of an aside. The word aliens in the United States is a little different from the way we understand it.
Right,
for them,
right,
it's
yes.
the word used for foreigners. That's all.
Yes.
So let's not conflate
those
ourselves
who don't have proper documentation. And
let's not conflate it with space travelers and so on. We should have. And we should have let people in India also know that. The rest, of course, whatever has to be done. So I think, as General Saab also said, look, these optics are not right. And there is a feeling among people that, look, a country like India, which is friendly, which is building relationships, including with the presidency of President Donald Trump himself, and so on, this does give out signals which don't look good. That we will get over with it, that we should undertake crackdowns on people trying to migrate from India illegally, enter illegally. All that is something that we must do. It's our own domestic responsibility, etc. But, for any of us to accept that this is all fine and this is hunky-dory, that's not good. That it's happened, not good. That, as the minister said very rightly, we are engaging the government of the United States. That's important, and that we should do. I don't want to get into Colombia and Mexico and all. Those are neighboring countries. They have their own ways and means of doing things and so on and so forth. Let's leave that out. I am interested in India, and I believe that our relationship with the United States on all fronts has to be a relationship where there is a degree, a very high degree of accepting dignity and respect and so on. That's important. I don't think we should forget that.
Right. General Dhruv Kachot, looking at the bigger picture, given the upcoming Modi-Trump meeting, how do such incidents influence India-US relationships, particularly in the context of trade and defense agreements, where a lot of effort and energy and time has been put in over the years by successive governments? Do such incidents or events impact the larger relationship between the two countries?
Zafar, very frankly, while this particular incident, you see, I'm quite certain that the Prime Minister will mention it to President Donald Trump. I've got no doubts about that. Right. But it's not going to affect the larger relationship. It is too important, the relationship which has been built. And please believe me, from the Foreign Secretary to Every single diplomat of India, they have taken great pains to build this relationship. And the Prime Minister has personally invested in this relationship. Not just that, even from 2004 onward, 2009 onwards, when the previous Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, he also invested a very great deal into this relationship. It is not something which is new. We have invested right from, I'll say, the turn of the century till now. We are talking of about 25 years. A great deal has been invested. So, on one incident that we are going to throw it away? No way. They're okay. As I said, it doesn't look nice on optics. I don't know why they had to do it. It was unnecessary. Please keep the cameras out. I understand Americans do certain things. If you see the way, when they stop a car in the highway, the Americans, and they tell the person to come out, it doesn't really matter what they do. They are very brutal. And I'm talking about American citizens. So whether he's a white or a black or something, they're treated the same way. On the airports, and I've had it from my people, from my own, a very large number of people who come there. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're an American or a British or an Indian, you are treated the same manner with that same, security concerns when they have to do it. So it is not, you cannot say that we are Indian, then we will be given special treatment. But yes, please keep the cameras out, because once the camera comes in, then it conveys a totally different picture. And then it becomes very difficult to, to tell the public, listen, we are still friends. Because it doesn't look friendly. It certainly doesn't look friendly. That much I agree. But I'm also cognizant of the fact, I've got many relatives living there. Their experiences tell me that the Americans will, for them it is routine. They just do it. And if it's an Indian, well, so be it. If it's somebody else, so be it. And that is the way it is. So I personally, I think, we will take it up, yes. But let us not make this into an issue which will snowball to an extent that it can have the impact of derailing our relationship. This relationship is very important to India. It is vital. The safety and security of the sea lanes of communication. If India has to become a developed nation by 2047, this is vital. That is why the Quad for India is vital. This relationship between India and the United States is vital. We are the two major powers. We are the ones who got the muscle to do anything here. So it's a very vital relationship. And I don't think under any circumstances we should have this relationship derailed. But greater sensitivity, most certainly. Yes. Zafar.
Relationship cannot be derailed, but greater sensitivity, most certainly. And you talked about cameras, the way this video was put out. Now, when all of them reached India, right from the time that aircraft landed at the tarmac, there are cameras that are following these people. And they have been speaking about the ordeal, the way that they were put into that aircraft and they were shackled till the time they reached India. It's a long flight. It takes many, many hours. It's so long. It's such a long flight, and they were shackled all the time. Let's hear one account from a man from Punjab. He spoke about all that he went through since the time he was put on that aircraft and brought to India.
हमारे उधर हमारे हाथों में हथकड़ी, पैरों में हथकड़ी लगाकर, तो उसने हमको बोला कि आप कैंप पर जा रहे हैं, लेकिन कैंप पर नहीं भेजा उसने। हम एयरपोर्ट पे लेकर गए, तो जहाज में हमें बैठा दिया, कहते हैं आप इंडिया जा रहे हैं। फिर हमको 40 घंटे लगे अमृतसर एयरपोर्ट पहुंचने के लिए। जब वो पहुंचा तो उसने हमारे पैरों हाथ की बेड़ी खोल दी।
कितने लोग आप थे जहाज में?
ऐसी एक टोटल 104 बच्चे, लेडीज, जेंट्स, 104।
सभी को हथकड़ी?
हाँ, सभी को हथकड़ी, बच्चों को छोड़कर सिर्फ। बस ऐसे ही, और बाथरूम करना है हथकड़ी में, खाना भी ऐसे ही।
खाना अच्छा था ऐसे ही?
नहीं, एक लेस का पैकेट देते थे, एक जूस, बस।
इसके अलावा
इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं।
Ambassador Manjeev Puri, you heard him there. Now he is telling what exactly happened on that aircraft. Now, some say that it is not the only flight that will come to India. There are many more such flights that are in the offing, because there are thousands of people who are out there in the US who don't have proper documentation. The minister made it clear that they have also verified, they have cross-checked that all of them are Indians. The worry was that there could be people from other nationalities who have also, said that they are Indians and become a part of this group and come here. Now, there are many different dimensions to this story. It is not so simple. For Americans, it may be simple that they round up people, they are Indians, they are illegal migrants, they put them to India. But for India, it is not so simple. They have to check and cross check and verify. Now, if this is the first lot of people who are sent, there will be subsequent lots which will be brought to India over the next few weeks or next few months.
Zafar, look, let's be very clear on one thing. First, this business of cameras, this was, foreign policy is all domestic at the end of the day. It was done because it is what President Trump wants the people of the United States to see. He also wants the people of the world to see how strong and powerful they are and how they will exercise what they want to do. And they've said it even to us. Let's be very clear. The fact that this is a consequential relationship of the highest order for India and that we should take it forward, this matter notwithstanding, is something without dispute. We must. And I completely agree with General Saab. We will, and I'm sure it will be messaged and put across to them also in an appropriate manner. Having said this, I think within India, certainly the feeling among people listening to this gentleman or anyone else and just watching it, nobody would have expected that the situation on board the flight would have been any different from what he has explained to you. It's quite obvious. It's a military flight, the way things are. You are being sent, in a sense, let me say, you were not charged for being criminals. You were simply declared criminals and you are being sent, which is all right. You are not citizens of that country. They are being deported. They had verified these particular things. I'm sure they had verified even with our authorities that these were bona fide Indians, and it isn't anybody who looks like an Indian is being rounded up and sent here. So a lot of these particular things, I'm sure, have been ironed out over the years as ICE has been carried out these deportations. The issue, we go back again, is to the fact of the way it was done. There is an element of feeling among lots of people here in India, this was not right. We also talk in terms of dignity of those who are coming back, that they were wrongly there in the United States. They have to be taken back by our country. All that is not an issue. It's the question of dignity, and that's important, no matter what their standard operating procedures are. And what they do to their own nationals, what can I say about that? I want to leave it out. But I would certainly like that our nationals, and about whom we are not disputing that they are our nationals, and we are willing to accept them by a degree of dignity. That's important. We are in the year 2025. Let's understand that also.
But Ambassador Saab, isn't it also time for us to introspect, to put our house in order? Why I'm saying that? When you go to Punjab, if I go to Punjab, the first thing I see, there are boards everywhere. People want to go abroad, go to Canada, go to US as students for employment, for anything. Now they will go through legal routes and they will go through illegal routes. The aim, the motive is that they just want to go, whatever the consequences. Now, this is happening right in front of us. It is for everybody to see. You go to Punjab, you see the situation there. Now, there's hardly anything done about it. And when these people fall in wrong hands, without any documentation, without any taking so much of a risk, going there, that they are putting themselves in trouble, their families in trouble, giving a bad name to their country, isn't it time to set our own house in order?
Zafar, look, let's understand. This plane landed in Punjab, in Amritsar, for good reasons. There were 33 Gujaratis on board the plane. All right? So let's not get into this domestic politics of all of this. We understand why things are done. Why are people migrating? They are migrating for the same reason why Mr. Donald Trump's grandfather migrated, for a better life for themselves. And for that, we have to do something in India. I look forward to the day Viksit Bharat. I hope it happens in my lifetime. I have worked to the extent I could always for that particular thing. I want my country, my land itself to be one that is good for people. It doesn't mean they should not have the opportunity of going overseas, being global citizens, etc. That's a different matter. But let all of this not take place because opportunities here are limited, that things here are difficult, etc. And I believe all governments have worked on this. Current government also working. Look at the budgets, look at various things. But the fact is, people think that their life can improve, and they're taking risks, some of which are extremely dangerous. particular risk. You hear this word donkey and that film which starred Shah Rukh Khan being
Right.
there. Look, these are based on realities. Now, why are people willing to take these risks, etc.? Possibly you and I, sitting in relative comforts, don't understand, and our risk threshold is less.
No,
But
absolutely.
and
Absolutely,
we want
Ambassador Saab.
it
Ab-
without doubt.
Absolutely, I get that point. But Major General Dhruv Kattu, what I was trying to ask is that because there is a desire of people to want to go to other countries, go to places where they find better means of livelihood, better quality of life. The point is that sometimes in desperation they fall in wrong hands. Isn't this a time for the state machinery, for the law and order, to curb those outlets which are wrong and illegal, which a lot of people are innocent, they don't know the people that they're leading them to these countries, whether they are going through a legal route, illegal route, they want to go, but their desperation is exploited by some of these vested interests.
Well, you see, Zafar, I have got many people. I have been on this particular issue. I have been in contact with more than a dozen people who have been working at the other end to stop this. From the Canadian side, they have got that education system set up, which is a scam. One of the biggest scams taking place, getting our kids there, and trying to give them a Canadian degree. It's not worth the paper it is printed on. Those kids are exploited. Our girls are exploited. Our boys are exploited. It must stop. In Punjab, I have my relatives living there. A lot of intermarriage takes place between us and the Sikh families. Whole villages have emptied out because there are no young boys there. They're all settled in Canada and the USA. Now, you see, there is that we have to get rid of that Western system that the West is better. For God's sake, the West is not better. We need to change our own education, our thought processes. This is really white colonialism which is taking place, which is making our youth risk everything to go to the West. There is no pot of gold lying at the other end. You may look at one or two people and say, okay, they made it good. You look at the hundreds of thousands of them who haven't. Many of them in London, where my a very close relative worked for many years, and she was in the she was working with Scotland Yard. The number of Indians who were there on drugs, etc., on the first offense, and she had to actually deal with them and tell them to stop. Now, it is tremendous. And what are they getting? They are getting a life which is far worse than what they had in India. Yet the dream persists. It is like those people who go to Bollywood, that you want to become a famous actor, that one great man, you make the break. But for every great chap, for every great actor who has made, or the lady who has made it in Bollywood, there are 10,000 who are selling golgappas on the streets. Now, that is a reality. Let's face it. So this human ambition, human greed will carry on. From our side, I think we need to educate the youth. Your better future is in India. आप भारत में रहिए. आप अपने पंजाब को, आप अपने गुजरात को, अपने दिल्ली को, आप wherever you are from, make that into a great place to live in. Why are you trying to go abroad and do something for somebody else? I think that slave mentality needs to go. I'm very, very serious about it. Get rid of your slave mentality. आप अपने भारतीय रहो. And the second point which I would like to re-emphasize, despite the fact that the ambassador is not, doesn't want to discuss it, for God's sake, we have got 20 million of these Bangladeshis in India. And we are just keeping quiet. Use every means at your disposal to send them back. And I will say it repeatedly, time and time again. They are also destroying the fabric of this country. And we need to do something about it. I hope the powers that be, including the opposition and all political parties and every single state government, regardless of their party affiliations, take this up seriously and have these people thrown out. Zafar.
Right. Ambassador Manjeev Puri, you heard Major General Dhruv Kattu. She also raised the point of the opposition. And today we saw that opposition really hitting out at the government. How do you see the response of the opposition and the way the government, the minister, spoke about it in the parliament, and he laid out the details? He said that this is not the first time. This is happening since more than a decade. According to the SOP that has been laid out 10-15 years ago, the same procedure is being followed. Do you think that a collective sort of a resolve or a collective sort of a discourse or a argument is missing? We are divided on this, on an important issue. it is, after all, an important issue. At the end of the day, Indians put on a military aircraft and taken back to their country, handcuffed and shackled. Whatever be the reason, they have done wrong, they have gone there without the documentation. But this is the fact of the matter.
So, Zafar, let's be clear that people have been returned in the past, and the number was more than 1,000 last year, but discreetly and not on military aircraft. Let's be clear on that. So let's not conflate issues. There are a number of issues on that. The opposition, rightly in India and everywhere in the world, must take the government to task. That's part of accountability. Nothing wrong in that. That, as a nation, you should also be together, to use the phrase that General Katoch just said, educate the people, make them feel good, proud, etc. But going abroad is nothing wrong in that. I mean, we are very proud of Mr. Sundar Pichai and Mr. Satya Nadella. It wouldn't have happened in our country. So let's understand all of these. These things are perfectly fine. What we are talking about is people being misled by unscrupulous agents and so on and so forth. But it is, again, as I say, there is a dream. You can't stop people from having dreams, whether it's Bollywood or it's the Western world. These things do happen. Can we, as the state, as a society, come together and curb or minimize the use and the opportunities available for the unscrupulous and those who take advantage of those who have a dream but who get carried away and get misused in this? That's particularly important. Of course, as a country, you should be together. The role of the opposition remains what it is. That's also important. Accountability comes as a result of that. But, together as a country and as a society, as we will progress, as things will go on, many things will happen. If you notice now, there are Indians who are coming back to India, setting up shop here, seeing startups and so on. So there are opportunities that are growing. As our country grows, I'm sure many of these things will change. Just to give you the American example, 100 years back, Mr. Biden, Mr. Trump, their grandfathers all migrated from there, isn't it? And if their countries, Germany, Ireland, etc., had done very well, several would have come back. That's the nature of this. We are globalized. There's a globalization. People have dreams, but let their dreams not be, shattered through the use of unscrupulous and so on. That's something that we as a society should come together and try to do. This is a responsibility, of course, lead of the government, but of all other members, elements of society, education institutions, all of us as parents, as members of society too.
Right. People have dreams and nobody can stop people from dreaming. But what can be done is to prevent them from falling into unscrupulous elements who only exploit them. We'll have to leave it here. Thanks so much, Major General Dhruv Katoch, Ambassador Manjeev Puri, for joining us today and for sharing your thoughts. And thanks to our viewers for watching the Mojo Story.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.